Today in the blockchain basement, we got the SEC screaming everything is a security, the Binance screaming F you, bro, Coinbase saying they will obey, and all us Bitcoiners saying tick tock next block. All this and more on today's blockchain basement. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we.
All right, welcome into Blockchain Basement. We're going to have a really good show for you guys today. We've got a special guest, Ray from the gym. You guys know him in the chat. He's joining us live here today. We've got the Druth in the backseat, going to be bringing us some knowledge. Frankie Candles from the charts. Let's see those candles in the chat from the Candle Mafia. We're going to be doing some TA for you in a minute. And back from his travels, the glorious Biscuit Jesus on the board. We were right before we went live working on the Discord, trying to get us to go live in there. It does not like the feed from VMix right now, so we're gonna be working on that to get the show live.
I tried to get it to work, but TJ said no.
No, oh, of course.
It had nothing to do with Discord not liking it.
Yeah, no. We've been working on it all day. We'll have it rolling. Should be BJ says by the end of the week. So if it's not done by the end of the week, you can be mad at him. So. S Luke 70 says, TJ, my wife is also due in July with a little girl. Congrats. That's awesome. Hey, congratulations, Luke. It's gonna hopefully change your life for the better. So shout out to all of you guys in the chat. Anthony Ackley, Ninja Glock, Dave Show, Crypto with Kai, Joe, Fluffy the Sheep, Corey, Manawak, Crimson Caravan Company. I wonder if Crypto with Kai is Kai Primo, from that I've known from back in LA. I think she went by Crypto with Kai. Fluffy the Sheep, like I said, S Luke, Paper Hands, Moonboy, Justin Eubanks, Crimson Caravan Company, Miller Time, 3000, Autopilot, Asmir L, JJ, Desert Crypto, Dave Digital, Crypto, Stevo, Zayas, Danny Carney, Sincere, Autopilot, Dave Digital, and many, many more. We love all you guys. Gonna have a really good time talking today. We got a lot of Twitter, not a lot of articles. Gonna have a pretty interesting discussion. Towards the end of the show, we're gonna talk a little bit about Apple VR. Ray actually has some pretty good experience in that department. It had some startups in that space. It had some really interesting things to share before the show. It came up because Drew was asking like, hey, has anybody seen, wow, we're really washed out there.
That bad?
It's fine.
It's all right. It's just a little
It's just your privilege showing. No, I mean,
just
Fighting privilege.
Oh, wow.
There it
we were
is.
talking about how you have a little
Shots fired.
indent on your pinky from holding your phone like this.
Yeah,
If everybody,
it's bothering me, man.
you probably don't realize it if on your dominant hand, wherever you hold it, you've got a little extra indent on your pinky right there. Because there was an article that came out about streamers a streamer was shaving his head for charity and realized he had an indent from his headphones and didn't, so that showed a graphic of like streamers 20 years down the line of headphones and, schlumped over and, maybe it's all true. We'll see.
The nerd neck is bad, man.
Yeah, the nerd neck. So,
My right thumb is thicker than my left thumb.
okay.
Yeah. From playing bass.
Yeah.
Oh,
from playing bass.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, that happens. Well, never mind.
That's his name?
Leave that there. So big news of the day. We were talking yesterday, SEC going after everything we talked about at the beginning. This was breaking yesterday afternoon, probably a couple hours after. Yeah, it looks like around 5 o'clock yesterday. SEC just asked the court to freeze all of Binance US assets. Assets are about to flow out of Binance US quickly, which I would agree with. Crypto Stevo pointed out, and we did mention on this show earlier in the week when a lot of this stuff dropped, that this was a good opportunity to, if you are using third-party exchanges to custody your funds, to go ahead and withdraw them because you have no idea what's going to happen with a lawsuit like this. SEC asking them to freeze all of the funds. That means crypto. That means all sorts of different stuff. So this is a good opportunity for you to take custody of your own funds and not leave it up to, who knows. I know people got stuff stuck up in the Voyager system. People got stuff stuck in all sorts of different platforms in the past. So this is your warning and your opportunity if you did use it to, withdraw your funds. I don't know if anybody still has funds there or not, but, here's your opportunity. So
it felt like the right thing to do.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a big fan of self-custody. We talk about different hardware wallets, software wallets. There's a lot of different ways you guys can make those decisions, but personally, it doesn't really matter what exchange it is at this point. Don't really, trust any third-party custodian at that point. He said he got all of his coins off Binance US, put them in his Trust wallet. Yeah, like I said, there's plenty of good Trust wallet, Exodus wallet, Coinbase wallet even. Do you have a preferred software?
I use Trust for what's on my cell phone. I still have Ledger. Opt for the service. I didn't pay for the service, so I'm not involved with the service that the controversy was around for Ledger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really liking Trust Wallet and then I use Stargazer for my DAG bag. But basically just spread it around those three things.
Walk at 23, welcome to OG status. Frank, I was going to ask you, you're a trader. Obviously, you have to keep some funds on exchanges. How do you handle the balance between what you keep on exchanges and what you withdraw to self-custody?
Yeah, so for me, I have so many accounts. Like I have multiple Femex accounts, multiple Big accounts. So to be honest, I don't really keep too much. I probably really trying to think of like the percentage split. I don't keep a lot on exchanges, right? Like when I make money trading, I will withdraw that money out of my account. So like even my trading account doesn't really grow. I don't keep a lot of money in there. When I make profit, I will withdraw it, over time. So, but I will say this, I have money in hot wallets. A lot of my crypto is in self-custody wallets. However, I will say, I say this on my live stream all the time, I probably should be using hardware wallets more than I do right now. But yeah, I would say I'm actually trying to I'm probably about to pull out my stuff off Coinbase just in case. I have a decent amount on Coinbase, so.
I left some behind on Coinbase, just a touch, because I got the Coinbase card. Nice. I mean, just like $300 or $400.
Another good thing for trader, if you're out there trading, this is something that we're probably we've been wanting to talk about this on my channel a lot, like recently, but we just have a lot going on. But really what we want to get into is they now have self-custody leverage platforms, right? Where you can basically leverage trade while holding your actual assets in your own wallet, which is really cool. So one of them is Apex, is one of the exchanges. So we're going to be taking a look at that. But that's a really good way to kind of hold your own crypto and then also be able to still trade without keeping your money on the exchange. So.
Yeah, no, great. Really good breakdown there. Also, wanted to come in. I forgot to update you on the price, and then we're going to look at a little TA real quick. So Bitcoin coming in. Let's see, today's June 7th, around 1 o'clock, 26,382 on Bitcoin, 1840 approximately on Ethereum. XRP holding 51 cents, Cardano holding 32 cents. Let's see if we've got any big movers on the news. Yeah, Stacks moved a little bit, but for the most part, not a dramatic move. A lot of move in DeFi. Interesting to see Terra Classic moving, but Lido, Stacks, Tron, XRP, MX token is exchange token there. So one thing, I'm going to have Frank do the TA here. I did have one notable thing that yesterday, obviously, the big news of the week was Binance that came out. We did drop pretty hard on that. You see this straight down drop on that, and then we recovered this is the straight drop down. We had, what is this, a 4 hour? Yeah. And then the Binance news came out yesterday, and it didn't really have the Coinbase didn't have nearly as dramatic of effect. It bottomed out a little bit, but we actually pumped off of that, which Don Alt was making a good point about. Pumping on bad news is one of the best things a market can do. We don't immediately fade this move this week. I'll assume my recent buys are bottom buys, and we'll try to keep them to 35K. If we fade, it's doomed, but for some reason, I doubt it'll happen. So basically, he's feeling a little bit more bullish based on the fact that after the Coinbase news dropped, it didn't really hit the price too hard. Another thing he mentioned that is worth noting right now is the fact that the NASDAQ and stocks or equities are really hitting a stronger stride right now than Bitcoin is. They're kind of since they've had positive moves up in the last week or two where crypto's been stagnated. They're bumping up against resistance right now where crypto is barely holding on to support. So it'll be interesting if we get a big macro move that pulls stocks back down to support, could wipe crypto. So just something to keep in mind on. I know, Frank, you said it's been kind of going a bunch of different directions. I'll pass this up to you if you want to let the people know what you've been looking at. Oh, and I did see S. Luke saying earlier that he had, as somebody that had $30,000 locked up on Voyager, please withdraw your funds if you have them on exchanges, especially ones that are in the crosshairs of the SEC. So.
I've got a ton on Celsius. It was my father's. And,
oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Father passed away last summer. And solace is I don't have
Yeah.
I had encouraged him to put it there in the first place.
I mean, we lost a lot on Celsius. I mean, my dad's had lost funds on Celsius as well. I mean, it's a tough way to learn that lesson. Hopefully we can get some funds back at some point, but in the meantime, Frank will show us how to work it both ways and trade that system. What up, Casino Doggy?
But yeah, absolutely, and I am definitely looking to get at least some of my funds off Coinbase, and it's crazy too because like
Frank nervous now.
Yeah, it's like it's like Coinbase you trust, right? Like, or you think you could trust Coinbase, and it's like when you start seeing Binance and now Coinbase, it's like it's just
can't
crazy.
Trust the government. That's
Yeah, exactly. Trust Bitcoin. It's
right.
like, we had this conversation in the office a bunch of times. Like, where the heck do I put my money? Like, it's time. It is time.
Yeah, trust the Bitcoin network.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, guys, we got some real interesting stuff. Now, I actually like that tweet from Don Alt a lot because I always say this. It's always hard for me to kind of, actually explain what my sentiment is because it's so tied to, context, right? Like, what time frame are we looking at? And basically, in the medium term, I am, and for the past couple of weeks, ever since we wound up getting this pump here, I have been a little bit more bearish, right? I've been looking to short lower highs. We shorted this lower high, and then we came back down, got a bounce, shorted this lower high, and now we are coming back up again to test this local golden pocket right here, and we did come up and tap this almost perfectly at about $27,330. I am short from here as well. I am currently short from this retest of this 786, and then I'm in another short position, basically like from the top of this wick right here on this move down. And we've been doing it alongside the premium Discord, and not even that, guys, in the free Discord as well. The dining room is another thing that we have in our free Discord that gives you access to premium Discord posts that we put. You get one premium post a week, but for whatever reason, like all of the fire calls have been just by luck of the draw have been put in the free stuff. But anyway, that's besides the fact. Basically, guys, what I'm looking at because of money flow, right? And as we look at, the 4 hour, you can see your money flow is coming. Oh, let me move that over. You can see the money flow is coming out pretty dramatically here. This is more bearish than bullish, at least in the medium term. On top of that, kind of one of the bigger bearish cases I am looking at right now, or one of the reasons I am still leaning bearish, even though we got this big pump up. Everybody was feeling really bullish, and they're like, Frankie, what's going on? Are you bullish now? And no, I was not, because money flow was still in the red here, and that pump wound up just coming up to put in a lower high before continuing to the downside. And that's what you want to look for when you have money flow in the red, because the money flow being in the red is indicating that the downward trend will continue, right? So you're going to have pumps in a downward trend, but because the money flow is in the red here, I expected this pump to be lackluster. We actually had a target up here to go short, and that's kind of how I'm looking at the market. And I've been talking about that a lot because I think it'll help people kind of understand, because I think, I could say I'm bearish, right? Once this money flow crosses over into the red, and then you see a pump and everyone's like, what the heck? I thought you were bearish. And I'm like, yes, I'm still bearish. You can bounce in the short term, and then you look for a lower high like this, which come in at very specific spots that I won't get into, at least right now. I get into those in my live stream. But I am still leaning bearish, right? Because the daily money flow is in the red. The 2-day money flow is something else we've been looking at a lot, still in the red here. So until this money flow starts to shape up and look a lot better, I will lean towards a continued move to the downside, and I will continue to short these lower highs. It's worked out so far, but there is a bullish case here. And just like Don Alt was saying in that tweet, I'm not like bearish long term. I am actually really bullish long term. I put out a video last weekend talking about like how bullish I am and where I think we are in the cycle. And even if we do come down more, I still think that almost, most of the pain for this bear market is basically over. So if we do get a move down, we were looking for that move down to 25.3 that we just recently got. And if we are able to close a weekly candle above the 200-week moving average, and let me see, if I don't have this up, I'm not going to pull it up just because I don't want to waste time. But if we are able to close a weekly candle above the 200-week moving average, which I believe as of right now we are above, if we can close this candle at the end of the week on Sunday above the 200-week moving average, I would be taking that as an extremely bullish sign and a good chance that we could potentially see a big, next move to the upside, which the next target I am looking at is about $33,000, between $33,000 and $34,800, which is pretty close to the $35,000 that Don Alt was looking at. And that's all going to rely on holding that 200-week moving average for me at least, right? And one of the things that is making me feel pretty good, at least in the medium to longer term here, this is something I'm watching very closely. And it is a potential bullish divergence to come in here on the daily, right? We got one right here. Got a big pump up that wound up being that lower high before continuing down. But now we are about to put in another third drive of bullish divergence on the daily, which could wind up being extremely powerful, where you have your momentum moving to the upside as your price action is moving to the downside. And when you get this, you typically do get a big correction to the upside. So if we can hold that 200-week moving average and potentially print this bullish divergence, which actually looks like it might wind up happening at the end of today on the daily candle close, unless we get a big move down. If we print that bullish divergence, I do think we could easily see a move back up to the high of this range at about 28,650. In which case, if at that point the money flow starts coming back up on some of those timeframes I just showed, that might open the door up for much more upside for Bitcoin. So in the short term, I am still leaning a little bit bearish, but at the end of the week, and I guess more closely today, I will be looking at that daily bull div. If that prints, I will start to be a little bit more careful with the shorts. But as of right now, as long as the money flow is coming out and that daily bull div is not printing, I am going to lean a little bit more on the short side. So
awesome. That was really good analysis.
Thank you.
A couple things real quick. Welcome Dusto to OG status. He said, I've been learning a lot from you guys for a while now. Figure I'll pay a little bit for y'all's help. Really appreciate that. Obviously, no pressure. Nobody has to, but any support you guys do, we really appreciate it. We have some fun in the Discord. We're going to be doing some other stuff in the future. So welcome to OG status. Anybody who wants to join that, I believe there's a button on the YouTube thing. You just hit join members is what they call it, YouTube members. So also I did see Danny Carney says, smash that like button, people. That really helps support the channel. Hope everyone is having a great day. And it really does. If you don't mind taking 1 second to hit that like button. If you're watching on TV, I think it's more actions, more options. Hit the like button. If you're on mobile, you have to close live chat, hit like, and then you can open live chat right back up. So, but Frank, that was really good. Let me ask you this. When you're talking about levels, so kind of short term, you're leaning more bearish. You're looking for shorts. Long term, is it holding somewhere in the 25, like 25.2, or is it really more these key levels in the 26s that matter? I'm talking more on the long term time frame. Yeah.
So really, holding that 200-week moving average. So kind of what I'm looking at is we had this relief rally, right? We pumped about 100% from the bottom, and this is kind of similar to what we saw in 2019, where we pumped up to about 14K. That was about a 350% pump, right? So I don't, we pumped up 100%, right? So a pullback wouldn't be unlikely. But if we are able to, there are some lower levels that I'd be looking at. 25.3 was the first level, which is what we bounced off of yesterday. And then between 25,000 and 24,444 specifically, is a pretty important value area high. So if we were to dump down there, $24,444, if we don't break that level decisively, that would be a big level to hold, because if we lose that level, we could potentially get accepted into a previous range that was at lower prices, and that could open up the door to potentially, I know there's some people out there calling for 20K. Yeah. If we lose that 24,444 level, it would open up the door and make it more likely for us to come down closer to 21,000 to 20,000 before hopefully holding support and then coming back.
That actually gets me excited, believe it or not. I saw Enzo Miney says 10K to 20K in play, LOL. And I wouldn't say 10 to 20, but I could still see a very plausible scenario where we go back down to 20K. I may not stay there long.
Imagine how cheap the alt.
Oh Frankie, my God.
I'm not a TA guy, but
chat wants to know the real indicator.
What is the?
I can't. No, don't show them. Don't show them. It's the secret.
It's chicken salad with sriracha today. Nice. Somebody called it earlier. So
bearish or bullish.
That's sideways action. Sorry, guys.
Just on the vernacular, Frankie, when you say long term, is there different context of that? I mean, because I'm not a TA guy, I'm not a scalping guy either. Do you have different context for long term as in hodling, long term as in short term trades? I mean, is it 1 week, 4 weeks? Because I know that
long term a month is long term a year.
That's a really, really good question, because I think a lot of people have different definitions of that.
Absolutely.
For me, when I talk about long term, basically what I do is I kind of relate it to the chart, right? So if I'm looking at long term, I'm looking at the weekly chart. So if I want to see, a big dump in the long term, that's going to be on the weekly chart, and it's probably going to wind up being a dump from like, if I was talking about a big dump incoming from here, it would be like a dump down to like $15,000, right? So that would be like a longer term dump for me. When I talk about like my hodl bags, I just consider that like a position trade, right? Like I'm just holding that. I'm not, I don't even really think about it at all. Like for my spot bags, like if we dump down to 15K, I'm not even thinking about my spot bag. I'm just holding it. Right. And then I'll just buy more when we get down there lower.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm very, very simple. I don't do a lot of the day trading. I'm more just, accumulating the ones I really believe in. Drew, I think you, Enzo Mining said, my DCA strategy just switched to, BTC and ETH only. I think your comment about imagine how cheap the alts would be made him a little nervous. And that's exactly, I've been stressing it. Now, I'll say it again. I've said it multiple times on this channel, but it bears repeating. This part of the market, you get chopped up in a lot of those altcoins because this happens over and over and over where Bitcoin pumps, so do altcoins. They all, like Bitcoin pumps 5%, maybe altcoins pump, maybe yours catches 5%. If you're really lucky and it's doing well, maybe you get a 10 or 15% pump on a 5% Bitcoin pump. And then Bitcoin pulls back 5% and those alts drop 20%, 15%, 18%. And they just do that over and over until when you're looking at a 20K Bitcoin, some of these alts have just been absolutely hammered by the time, we're getting into the next halving. And that's when, based on what those narratives are, best time to accumulate a lot of different things. Not saying there's not opportunities, and I still have some. I'll show you. I've got a couple really good threads of like what A16Z was looking at. I know Drew covered some Coinbase Ventures projects last Friday. Hopefully we'll get to those a little bit later in today's show. There are still, again, privacy, decentralized exchanges, certain niches, layer twos, higher throughput on Ethereum, certain categories that you can get in and understand and learn the niche now and see things that are overperforming. So that way, when it is time to pile in, you're ready to go. You understand the market. Shout out to TJ's Chicken Salad in the chat. He says, yeah, baby. He's here for accumulating. So
TJ, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So in 2019, obviously we got that fake out rally, right? And then we basically went sideways, and then we had the March 2020 panic wick, which basically brought us back down to the bear market bottom, right?
Absolute bottom, yeah. Very, very close, at least.
Yeah, so it was essentially a double bottom, and that was based off of a black swan. Now, we are seeing something very similar where we got this 100% pump that might continue a little bit higher, right?
Yep.
Giving us even more of a pump similar to 2019. And then likely, whether we come up from here and then wind up ranging, or we come down from here and continue ranging. Do you think that if we get a black swan this time, that brings us back down to the bottom? What do you think the most likely case of that black swan would be? For me, I always think, maybe regulation could cause a flash crash like that. And then there's obviously a lot of geopolitical stuff.
Yeah, for me, we've mentioned this before. Obviously, the nature of a black swan is unpredictable, so you don't really know. But I do know there have been very large, I don't know if you want to call them war games, but game theory tests going on for large macro global cyber attacks, especially on financial institutions.
Yep.
So if you consider a cyber attack going on banks, on financial institutions, shutting a lot of things down, like that could cause mass chaos, mass panic, like a serious flash crash wick like we saw on March 12th, 2020. And within that chaos, it provides a lot of opportunity for people that knew it was coming to make life-changing generational kind of money or position themselves for what is in the future. Quick story on that, actually, a little bit later in the show for some of the shenanigans we saw yesterday. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll jump to it right now. Because it was something else. Remember, we read a tweet yesterday from Crypto Donald talking about how somebody had been aggressively selling Bitcoin into a lot of these pumps recently while the stock market had been pumping. It just, everything looked bullish. Everything looked good on the charts, but there was some big selling pressure on Bitcoin. Then all of a sudden, boom, we get this news about Binance and the SEC. So somebody, he said, somebody always knows something. Well, this is interesting. Unusual Whales tweet. Well, this is unusual. Yesterday, someone opened a new coin $50 weekly puts for $107,000. They were 19% OTM and expired in 4 days. So like very, very tight window for a contract to be opening. Today, the SEC sued Coinbase, aka Coin. Those positions are up big, nearly 25, almost 2,600%. They turned 100K into millions. Someone always knows.
That is crazy.
In fact, you can see all the flow alerts for free on Unusual Whales. Yesterday, the traders are followers opening new trades against coin heavily in the morning. I'll never stop calling out unusual trading. Here are the filters. So basically, somebody right before the news broke basically turned 100, opened very strange, unusual trades with a very low amount of capital and turned it into a lot of money really, really quickly just based on that news. So something to always keep in mind when different things are happening. So like if a global cyber attack pandemic type scenario were to go on, you were to have the right positions open that were short, boom, you make insane amount of money, close those positions, and then you're set up to take advantage again of the chaos ensuing after those collapses. Cybersecurity, all these services have to roll out. Like if you look at what happened with the pandemic, people that were positioned in well beforehand made big money on the trades. They also were positioned on the back end for different types of services and companies that they knew were going to be needed in the next few years.
You mean Nancy Pelosi isn't a trading genius?
Well, fun fact, I did hear apparently she sold millions of Apple shares today or yesterday.
Well, they were definitely positioned on the back end because we were the ones who got effed.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew there was a back end, front end joke coming in there somewhere. So, so on that note, though, what's interesting, national debt spiking. I saw this coming in yesterday. This is just I love graphs and charts. So U.S. national debt spikes $359 billion on the first day after the debt ceiling is suspended. And that was just the beginning. There will always be more hair-raising single-day spikes of the debt over the next few years. This was just interesting. This is since 2018. This is Trump administration, Biden administration, basically. So debt ceiling, and then you get immediate spike, climb. Oh crap, we're bumping up against it. Raise the debt ceiling, literally 1 day spike, climb exponentially. Oh, we're bumping up against, you can see when they start bumping up against it because it goes flat very temporarily. Raise the debt ceiling straight up. Oh, we're bumping up against it again. And this is literally like straight line up. So this was a couple days ago.
That's out of control.
This is some great gains.
360 billion in a day.
What altcoin is that?
If those were gains, that's great. If it's debt, really, that was my favorite. When you see, they love showing debt charts like this because people perceive up and to the right good. Yeah. But really, they should flip it, and you should see it going down. Under the bar.
You can. You just do the value of the dollar.
Yeah. Well,
that's true.
So here. You jumped the gun a little bit. Great foreshadowing. We're going to come back to that. So, Solar Mining Spain, TJ, can you explain more about the Discord live chat for Blockchain Basement? Yes. So basically what we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking this exact feed that you see here on YouTube, and we're going to be pushing it into the Discord. So it's a little bit more of a private, real-time experience in there. And then the chat that's from the Discord is going to be what we're going to be using right here. Kind of like what we did with Twitch. It's a lot more in real time. We can see it. We can interact with more of you guys that are more engaged with the show, that are here every single day. And then the idea is within that stage, depending on, the more comments you guys make, the better we get to know you. We'll chat with you in the Discord, maybe have a little private sessions, not private. You know what I mean? We'll get to know you a little bit after hours. Well, that didn't sound any better.
One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin.
That's right.
Hey, well, takes more than one Bitcoin.
Playing hard to get.
Bottom line is we'll start pulling you guys in and make you part of the show. So through Discord, hopefully we'll be able to pull your audio, and we might even be able to pull your video in to where we can push. Probably what we'll do is push the stream to Discord, and then instead of pushing, then maybe push out of Discord to YouTube instead of going through vMix. We'll have to figure the technical side of that out. But the idea is to get more interactive, both through text, through chat, but also through audio, be able to pull in live callers, that sort of stuff. I think there's a section in there where I'm going to I pull all the stories that we cover each day. So like right now I have probably 30 tabs up here. I probably won't get to all of these. So you can see the live feed as I pull them, and I pull them pretty much, throughout the day, throughout the night. So
there's also a meme saga.
There's some fun meme. I mean, it's really, the Discord's going to just be a fun place to hang out for the community. It's just for basement dwellers, basically. If you want to,
should we tease them?
I don't ever know what that means.
Look at all these cool channels we have. Ooh, verification logs.
TJ's Alpha.
TJ's Alpha.
Yeah, that's where all the stories.
In there.
Hey, that's coming up right now.
Easy.
Hey, easy. Yeah.
General chat.
Oh, look, Deezy's in there right now.
Oh, look.
What the?
Big handstand. Look, you.
Oh, big handstand. Look at that.
It's the only way you would know.
Yeah.
The only way you
So
know?
anyway, it'll be a fun thing. We might do some portfolio stuff. The idea is there's also going to be an NFT that you're going to have to be part of the membership to claim. It's a free claim NFT. It's actually pretty cool. The artwork's done. It says sub 15K. It'd be for the people that subscribed under 15K. Crit Cats, thoughts on ADA being labeled security? They had their ICO in Asia and their library case judge rules secondaries market aren't a security.
You just answered it yourself.
You did, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. The ICO was in Japan, was it not?
It was.
So security?
Well, and really it's being accused of being a security. It's not necessarily being labeled a security. And that's a big difference. And that we were going to touch on that. Basically, Gary Gensler.
It's funny, they do all the FUD when it's the best time to buy.
Yeah.
Huh.
It is weird how that happens.
Yeah.
There is also the danger of applying logic to anything that the courts
We don't
will do.
use the L word in here.
It's used in spirit here anyways. Unfortunately, it's not used in the halls of Congress or power or with judges. There's a lot of things that we've seen, especially with increasing frequency over the past couple of years, but over the past 10 to 15 years, where there's lots of legal outcomes that should have happened that we would have thought. I always go back to Lois Lerner, the original IRS and scandal, and a lot even farther than back. And it seems to always end up being a hyper-rationalized result that benefits individual parties, and that usually isn't us. Yeah. So while I am foolishly optimistic, maybe, of the conclusions that we reach about where the ICO was, but also the library judge ruling, nothing's nearly as definite as it was at one other time.
No, and there's a few things I want to touch on when it comes to these SEC security allegations, all this sort of stuff. It seems like so many people also treat it like the kiss of death, and don't forget the stock market is a market of trading securities. Right. You know, just because something's labeled security doesn't mean it's a dead project, doesn't mean it's not going to be tradable again. What's most likely that means is they're going to have to pay a fine to continue to operating the way that they're operating. Now, obviously, the way that they're going after the exchanges is totally different. So there's almost two. There's way more than two things going on within these two cases. There's so many subplots when you look at what the accusations being made against CZ and Binance compared to the accusations of Coinbase. One is a little bit more about securities. One is a lot more about commingling of funds and misdirection, which we talked about a little bit yesterday. So I'm going to blaze through some of the articles I have here today because it will touch on a lot of this stuff, and then we can comment on it. So to finish on the bearish case, this was just something very interesting that Wall Street Silver, which I've been enjoying, shared. He said the last time the smart money was this short, the world's largest stock market fell by more than 50%. The net short position on the S&P 500 E-mini futures is now at the highest since 2007. So if you're looking at this, basically you have to go all the way back to 2007 to see when you had this many people net short. And you can see very quickly, obviously there was a lot of net short people in 2022 as things. Oh, can you pull me down there for a second? I can't see. Yeah, here we go. So here's 2020. Here's 2017. Or no, that's 2007 back here. And then obviously 2021 to 2022, a lot of people were short. Flipped a little bit early 2022, but then just dropped like a rock from up here all the way down to net short. So just something to keep an eye on. Doesn't always mean it's going to go this direction, but it does fit within that bearish case that Frankie was talking about, where if we see the stock market pull back dramatically, equities, and we got all this bond and all this, basically all this uncertainty around the bond market right now, the debt ceiling, we got these new treasury bills getting done. Where's the liquidity going to come from? Who's going to buy them? What is that going to do to all the yields? If all of that causes a pretty significant pullback over these next couple months, that could be what pushes Bitcoin back. Again, if we lose that 25.2 level, falls back into no man's land, maybe back down to 20K, that's kind of your ultimate bear scenario. However, like what we were just talking about with the debt ceiling and the printing, that kind of changes things a little bit. Now, this was funny. I'll get ready to play this here. BJ, give you a little. Oh shoot!
The max header.
I really messed that up.
Nice.
He's tripping out.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm old.
So good morning. This is just new BS from Gary Gensler. He's out to kill crypto. We don't need any more digital currency. We have digital currency. It's all about the U.S. dollar. Oh, it's called the U.S. dollar. Sets the stage for CBDCs with the government control. So here's Gary Gensler's thoughts on digital currency.
Can't wait to hear this.
We don't need more digital currency. We already have digital currency. It's called the US dollar. It's called the euro. It's called the yen. They're all digital right now. We don't.
I mean, at least he's admitting that it's just a digital transcript. I mean,
Yeah.
he's admitting that it's just the numbers on your dollar are just a ledger that we keep track of. I do sometimes they keep track of them. Unless I won't go there. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. Rumsfeld, you messed up in 2001. But yeah, essentially, he's admitting that there's nothing really different about the two situations. And I think that that's healthy for regular or normal people to understand, is that there is nothing intrinsically backing the fiat currency that they're looking at. And at least you have a network of, that kind of opens the door for more people, I think. So yeah, I hate Gary Gensler, but at least he said that.
I agree. I do. Like, he's an absolute lizard person, snake, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't seem to be motivated by anything other than greed and power, from what I can see. But to your point, he is acknowledging that the currencies that exist today, any fiat currency out there on the market, is a digital currency, which you'd be shocked how many people in today's market, smart people, financially minded people, that don't understand that concept, that they say like, oh, I don't know about a digital currency, I don't know if I trust that. And it's like, you don't understand, the dollar that you do operate in, put a lot of trust in, is a digital currency. So Crypto Halligan, welcome to OG status. But this was a great response. I had shared that, retweeted it, said basically Gary Gensler sounded weak, sounded scared. And John Vibes, one of our writers here at Hit Networks, replied with this graph. He says, yeah, we have a digital currency at home. And then he's like, the digital currency at home. Here's the value of the US dollar. Yes, we do have a currency, digital currency, and it's not working very well. It's being over the tokenomics of our digital.
I have a sound for that.
Love it. Yeah.
That was excellent.
The tokenomics for our digital currency at home are not great. The foundation, so to speak, is not being managed correctly. They're very upside down on their balance sheet. If you thought Terra Luna was bad, if you thought UST was bad, wait till you hear about USD, because it's not going well. All right, so now moving to the SEC on the subject. This was pretty funny. I've seen a few different things. We've got securities in the SEC's lawsuits. You've got Binance. They're claiming Atom, BNB, BUSD, Cody. Coinbase, they've named a ton of different things.
Cody, that feels random.
Yeah, it's extremely random. Both here in the middle with Solana, Atomatic, Filecoin, Sandman, Algo. And I saw something today, this is unconfirmed, that if you just go to Coinbase and go to tradable assets, they literally just screenshot it. They literally just listed the assets from the first page on Coinbase and put that in there. Now they do say and more. So it was just funny. They can't even get on the same page of what's the security within their own lawsuits. That's Voorhees saying they don't even agree between Monday and Tuesday on what a security
I like
is.
the way they put the punctuation around securities.
Yeah, securities.
That's a weird way to do it.
I'll come back to
Which
this.
is interesting. Have you guys seen? I know this seems very.
All right, come back. Yeah, there you go.
But there are these half-open eyes around Atlanta that are popping up that do that with the quotation, where it's in the lower left and upper right.
I've seen the half open eyes, but I didn't realize it was quote.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, in a couple different places actually. Interesting. What are you saying?
Coming together.
It is all
I
coming
just don't know
together.
what.
And just as a reminder, we'll touch on this before we talk too much more about the case. Reminder, Gensler's SEC failed to catch FTX, $8 billion in fraud and bankruptcy, failed to protect Grayscale investors from $8 billion impairment, failed to protect Voyager, Genesis, BlockFi borrowers for $4 billion in bankruptcy. That's not even mentioning Celsius, another, I think, $6 or $8 billion, or maybe it was $4 billion.
Or banking and their securities.
Yeah,
Right.
Or Silicon Valley or First Republic Bank. I mean, the list goes on and on of the mistakes and the oversights from Gary Gensler. But this is, so we talked yesterday about how much better Coinbase is positioned, and this is where the gamesmanship comes in. They filed this yesterday almost immediately after receiving the lawsuit, and this is where, here, let me lay out what I think is going to happen. I think Coinbase is absolutely going to mop the floor with the SEC in this lawsuit, and it's going to pave the way for clear regulation. And it's going to cement Gary Gensler's L's in regulating this space in the future, because I think they're just vastly underprepared to argue it, and Coinbase is extremely prepared. Welcome, Skilly Child 86 to OG status. However, I think the Binance case is going to be very messy, and it might go on for a very long time. It might get drug out, and it will give Coinbase a lot of time to make up market share against Binance, especially here in the US, but also globally. Now I don't know where it's going to land on the Binance case, but I feel very confidently that Coinbase will win. So this came in yesterday, and guys, I would recommend following Paul Grewal, I guess you would say, is chief legal officer at Coinbase. He's not extremely active on Twitter, but fairly active, I would say, for somebody in his position. So earlier tonight, the Third Circuit issued a short order in Coinbase's mandamus action today. The court noted the SEC sued against us this morning and asked the SEC whether that means the SEC has decided to deny our pending petition for rulemaking. The SEC has 7 days to respond. So now this is a document that had already been filed with the SEC and was pending. And they were requesting rulemaking clarity. Maybe he goes into more detail. Yeah. We continue to believe that the SEC should not be proceeding with litigation against our industry like the case filed against us. What's that?
Could not.
Oh, what did I say?
Not.
We continue to believe that the SEC could not be proceeding with litigation against our industry like the case filed against us today if the SEC had not already decided to deny our petition for rulemaking. We continue to believe that rules of the road from litigation or rulemaking or both must come before enforcement actions. That is why we petitioned the SEC for rulemaking nearly a year ago in the first place. If the SEC's answer to our petition for rulemaking is simply no, then they are required by law to tell us, because we have the legal right to question that no in court, and there are serious questions to be asked. And this is the tweet that I retweeted. This is it right here. If they're saying no, we will not give you clear rules on this, they must answer to why, because it is their job, it is their charter, as that's what they are created to do as the SEC, is to provide rulemaking and regulatory clarity. They're not there to enforcement isn't their primary function. It's the rulemaking and the clarity and the provisions in clearing the path, not making it more difficult.
The SEC needs to hire Zed.
Zed,
the guy who did the song Clarity.
Oh God,
with Foxes.
You're always good with the music trivia.
I thought you were pulling
there.
a Pulp Fiction reference.
That's
That got real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see some connection there. But.
So it's interesting. This trap had already been set. They were waiting for this lawsuit to come, and now the pressure is immediately, as soon as the SEC filed their lawsuit, instead of Coinbase being on the clock, SEC immediately goes on the clock 7 days, and I don't think they were prepared to have to respond to this. And they must now respond to it probably before Coinbase has to really do anything with their lawsuit. So this is just another interesting legal practice thing to keep in mind, something to keep an eye on, because Coinbase, Gemini, they're going to be buttoned up on a lot of this stuff. They're going to be well funded, and they're going to be much better, I would think, time prepared for this case from a legal perspective and just understanding of the subject matter. So I just thought that was really interesting. That came out, let's see, when did he tweet this? 8 o'clock last night. Yeah. So, within the day of receiving that, they're already like, all right, guys, well, what are you going to do? SEC, ball's in your court already. So this was interesting. Update, lots and lots of agency insider chatter that the Department of Justice is close, apparently next week, to filing claims against Binance. Specific charges not yet known, probably similar. The existence of commingling of funds and the SEC claims will most certainly be one of the things among other charges. So DOJ, we know, have been kind of talking about going after Binance for a while, building a case against them supposedly. So I imagine a lot of resources being thrown at that going after Binance. Let me see. What else do we want to talk about?
Who's the head of the DOJ? I'm going to look at the head of the DOJ.
Merrick Garland.
Merrick Garland?
Former almost Justice of the Supreme Court.
There you go.
Yikes. We sort of dodged a bullet, only to be shot later, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Boomerang action on that.
Where did I have? Here we go. Let me put these things together. Boom. So we got, this was a very interesting number to me. Just in China reported a minus 7.5 year-over-year export numbers for May versus an expected plus 1.8. Drop previous was 8.5%. So now they're getting hammered on exports. China not in the best position like a lot of people might have you feel. They're also turning the money printers back on. Another thing shared by Arthur Hayes. China joins their best friends, the United States and Japan, and money printer go burr. Climb the wall of worry. China asked big banks to cut deposit rates to boost growth. Banks may cut time deposit rates as soon as this week. move to stimulus, consumer spending, boost credit and supply. So we've been talking about this. We've been looking at watching the central banks, not only the Fed here, but the Central Bank of China or People's Bank of China, the central bank in Japan. We had been noting earlier that they had been, just previous, I think the last couple months, turning the money printers back on. We know everything fits, which is part of why the dollar started to get stronger temporarily. If you're watching the DXY, which again kind of works in somewhat of an inverse relation to Bitcoin if you watch the DXY versus Bitcoin. So we do know as other major currencies and fiat currencies start printing, that kind of clears the path for the US dollar to print because we can all sort of print together and people don't feel the inflation too dramatically. If we outprint them, then it forces them to print to catch up. So when we saw their money printers go on, we knew it was only a matter of time before ours came on. Now we've cleared the debt ceiling. We're starting to print more treasuries, and it's, next year's really through this year and next year is looking like a very clear path for money printing, which puts people in great moods.
That also fits in with the timeline that you've continued to talk about. It does. Where end of 24, early 25, that's when the real height of the bull market would be, and that the 4-year cycle that you guys have yet to be proven wrong on.
Yep.
That all seems to come together.
The cycle, I mean, it is amazing how so many major macroeconomic forces fall into alignment with the Bitcoin halving cycle.
The debt ceiling being pushed till then.
Yeah. Well, there's and a lot of it. This is where, and some people, question was this part of Satoshi's genius, or did it just was the need or whatever? But the fact that it's basically a 4-year cycle, and it launched with it more or less aligns with the political cycle here in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's just very fascinating. Like, I don't know if he thought about it, launched in 2008 more or less, or was started being proposed, talked about, and operating. And it's just, I don't know. It's just very interesting to see, is it the election cycle that forces the macroeconomic conditions that creates the printing, that does the inflation, that pumps Bitcoin, and and the halving, or is it the halving that drives the other, the cut of, I don't know.
Is it the supply shock? Is it the,
or is it both? Or is it really the perfect storm of having money printing at its peak when the supply is getting cut, and it creates the perfect storm of like hype and mania and price action that just draws more attention to it. So
I was about to grab that chart and just walk behind you with it.
Grab
what chart?
This?
We
connect all the dots. Yeah. We need to get a.
I should have just done it.
Yeah, PTZ with that. So also real quick, we do have almost 500 people watching right now. Only 192 likes. So we know the like goal is 420th like. I saw somebody yesterday saying I was the 500th like. One day I'll be the 420th. So if you guys can smash that like button, should be really easy to get our like goal today. But we do really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Gives us makes us smile, and we like hearing in the comments too what you guys are thinking.
Party.
So.
Red Robles got the reference.
All right, so let's see. We've got a few minutes. I've got some. Wait. I've got 2 or 3 things about commercial real estate. We've got some stuff about Apple VR. What do we want to go, VR or real estate?
Real estate.
I can do either. I got
I love VR. I've actually made money off it. So
yeah.
Let
us know in the chat what you think.
I also live in real estate.
Yeah,
so
well, I'll just say we'll go VR.
I do just want to add this real quick, talk about the 4-year cycle. Just from a technical perspective, I just did a video on this on my channel, looking at price action, the timing of the 4-year cycle, and all the different indicators and all the things, just to kind of see where we are in the 4-year cycle. And that video is, it's mind blowing how much stuff has lined up exactly how it has in the past 4-year cycles, and and it's not just from an indicator standpoint; it's from a price action standpoint, a timing standpoint. Just everything is lining up exactly as it typically does. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it is, and it proves itself time and time again. So until we start to see something dramatically different, I'm gonna roll with it. Real estate in VR. Sack Nasty says, yeah, that's pretty good.
Also, I say VR.
Yeah, well, I'm going VR, and I'll tell you why. I pulled a lot of these stories like Monday, and I keep not getting to them, so I'm gonna just cover them so we can get rid of them.
So is the Discord PG? Because I'm not gonna be allowed in there.
No, it's not PG.
No, definitely not.
It's the basement. That's the whole reason. I mean, YouTube will be PG. I mean, what's live? Somebody did ask earlier if it will still be on YouTube. Yes, it will still be on YouTube. It's just that the after hours, the extracurriculars will be happening in the Discord.
Oh my God, Super Trucker Ryan, savage. You stereoscopic vision elitist.
I can. I'm sure. I can't see 3D though, if that's what you're talking about.
Hence stereo.
All right. Speaking of, all right, we've got everybody's short. The middle class is struggling. Recession is here. Meanwhile, here's Apple with a $3,500 headset. So, hey, here we go. Separation of.
Yeah, but it's literally a computer, and it's literally the first one.
It is. Well, and we're gonna end up buying one. That's how we know we're not at the bottom. So that's good.
Adult movie. I mean, never mind.
It is pretty interesting to think about, the state and the separation that we're experiencing happening right now. It's sad to see. It's something we talk about a lot here. Unfortunately, I don't see a way to stop that from happening. Only thing I see is a way to help as many people as I can around me and in my life end up on the right side of that. And hopefully, hey, if you guys can figure out a way to stop it, more power to you. Or if you can help get people on the right side of it, to me, that's Bitcoin. So I had a mate that could only see in 2D. Well, that's weird. So anyway,
super weird.
So yeah, we'll talk about some Apple headsets. Actually, fun fact: Tony D from Frankie Candles was the one telling me about this before it dropped, and he gave us the alpha that they were coming with this. It was going to be a $3,500 thing. They were set to announce. You guys can tell I had this pulled, a while ago. Apple is set to announce Reality Pro mixed headset in an hour. Completely change the VR AR industry and the world. And here's everything you need to know.
I will say it looks like a better design.
From what I understand, it's definitely a much better design. So there's a few things on like timing wise. It's definitely best to wait on a lot of these things. It is completely like there's not gonna be a lot of applications for it. It's its own operating system. So they need to get developers creating apps and things to use on it. There's right now it's basically computer based stuff. They're trying to move the way people interact with devices in general forward. Mm-hmm. This isn't just a gaming device. This is how would you say? It's just a new way to do digital hardware. It's gonna.
They're hoping it's a new utility.
Utility. That's what I was.
They want to take what the HoloLens with Microsoft was supposed to be, and that they eventually pulled the plug on. I think
is it
there's
like
a lot to be
Project
lessons there.
Glass, or is that something different?
I think that's different.
I'm just waiting for Drew's reaction.
I think it's different.
It's definitely different.
Different.
I see this as the first step. This is obviously, not going to replace your phone, right? Because everyone's not going to walk around with these goggles.
What if it replaces my glasses?
But I think that this is. They don't release a first generation of Apple doesn't release a first generation of anything very often, right?
Nope.
Like the first iPhone,
Newton.
the first iPod Touch, right? Yeah, right, exactly.
Apple just announced its first new major product since 2015.
Right. So it's like very, very rarely. Shout out to anybody if you probably not a bad investment to pick up 2 of these and keep one wrapped. Because I just saw something at the first iPhone. Someone just sold the first iPhone for $65,000, which is like over 100x
that's
return.
In the MoMA now.
So that's interesting. But I think eventually, once these get more advanced and easier to wear, where you get it something like Drew's glasses and you can see this stuff, that's the end of your phone, right? Like you're not gonna have a phone in your pocket eventually.
Well, yeah, kind of. The Newton was featured in Under Siege 2. The Immortal classic with Steven Seagal. It was Die Hard on a train after they did Die Hard on a boat. And it looked like that was potentially it had handwriting recognition. It was a PDA before people could spell PDA. Everything was absolutely amazing. And then it still took us another generation to actually get PDAs and then smartphones as well. As the oldest person, I'm going to go with this in this entire building, maybe even a quarter mile in some too.
Hey, I love my Palm Pilot.
I saw the movie Lawnmower Man in the theater. For those of you who can't even go ahead to IMDb, that was the first virtual reality movie starring Pierce Brosnan, and it was all about featuring VR, very early gen computer graphics. Virtual reality was going to be the thing. There was the Nintendo Game Boy VR. Yep. There was lots of it. There are some significant roadblocks that they're going to be facing. Yeah,
they're supposed to be banging it out on VR headsets, according to Demolition Man. Like
that
right around
predicted
now.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, no seashells yet though.
No.
So
it's interesting. I think it's going to take a lot longer to move this thing forward than people think it is. As far as we were talking a little bit before the show when it comes to like Frank, you said you have a Oculus and you have a few games you really like to play. They're really fun. You can play them for a certain amount of time, but then afterwards you like feel not great for the rest of the day or something like that.
Yeah, no, it definitely it's super fun. After about 45 minutes, I start to get motion sickness, and it's like zero problem up until that 45th minute, and then it's just serious motion sickness.
Hit the wall.
Yeah, and when I take the
almost
headset
literally, actually, people do hit the wall. That's sort of the funny stuff on YouTube where people diving into their TVs and walls.
Yeah,
they have no idea.
But the sick, I feel sick for the rest of the night. It's not like once I take it off, I feel better. Like I've just like messed up the whole rest of the night, and it's made me use my Oculus much less. Like, and when I do use it, I don't use it for as long. So I just feel like that, I guess, is probably like a tech has to catch up, I guess, to,
Well, yeah, and we were talking about like the testing and stuff has to catch up, because this is obviously, there's not a lot of, like, again, like the joke is like, oh, when you're a kid, they tell you don't sit too close to the screen. Now we're putting it inches from our face, and what does prolonged exposure to something like that do to the eye, to the brain, like the neurology, and when you're using your vision to command certain things, it's I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. So I think it'll take a while for this to roll out, but I do think this is the direction things are going.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be kind of a gradually and then suddenly somewhat sort of a thing where it's going to take, I'd say, 3 years from this product launch before it really starts to pick up steam. But then once it starts to pick up steam, when it goes to year 4 and 5, it's going to be like that. All of a sudden they'll be everywhere. They'll hit a lower price point. There'll be applications that are starting to go viral that people really enjoy the experience. But we'll see how it rolls out. So for right now, another thing that was interesting, I did see, when it comes to presentations, product rollouts, all that sort of stuff, especially with the major ones, in the past, the CEO of Apple, whether it was Steve Jobs, usually Steve Jobs, has been through the presentation shown using the product, whether he was swiping on, showing the iPod, turning on the wheel, swiping on the iPad, whatever it was, where Tim Cook did this presentation and was not wearing the headset. And I think there still is a pretty big barrier on, I think somebody said it in the chat, on the look, the way you look when you're wearing it. Somebody says, I can't wait
Palmer Luckey. No, that was one of the things that was considered to have killed VR about 5 or 6 years ago. Palmer Luckey was the original developer for Oculus, cashed a $2 billion check from Facebook.
Really?
There was an image of him on the cover of Time magazine. He's sort of a pudgy guy, and he's floating sort of weightless, and he's wearing the big goofy headset.
Yeah.
And it was all about, this is great for VR, and it just got savaged
for
several years. And that was considered, from marketing research, one of the initial main impediments for mass adoption for VR is it just looks stupid.
And you know where Palmer Luckey went now, right? I'm glad you brought him up.
He's on an island somewhere.
He is on an island, but he's developing technology to utilize these virtual reality systems to operate war drones. He's now in the military industrial.
Here we go.
Yeah, so that original design actually was meant for the military, and then its actual use case is being deployed right now in unmanned drones.
So. Yeah, if you look up that Time magazine cover,
I had to do it, TJ.
No, you're right. I mean, when you think about, so my brother flies one of those racing first-person view drone type of thing. It's a very similar headset where you're on there. I mean, and it's insane level of control that you have of those things. And I can only imagine when you start to take in, neurological commands and like exactly what you're just talking about, where you can think and control a unit with your mind like they do in some of those things.
Another old movie, Firefox, Clint Eastwood classic.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. I am ancient and I like lots of movies. Wasted a lot of time in my youth.
Somebody else said it in there too. Mr. B said... when was the movie See Wizard with Fred Savage? Yeah, there's a lot of good movie references in here today. So real quick, I'll read through a couple of these notable features. Tim Cook, it's the first Apple product you look through, not at. Vision Pro is a new kind of computer that seamlessly blends the real world with the digital world.
I'm sorry, he's going to take out a city. Never mind, he's in his living room.
He's in his living room, yeah. Sorry. You no longer limited by displays, and your surroundings are now limitless canvas. So you can see, basically he's pulling that up. You're seeing things in front of you. You're pulling up pictures. Like right now, it's not going to have a lot of functionality. Like I said, it's going to operate basically like your typical Mac product does with no applications installed on it. So natural intuitive controls. Now I have heard this. Mr. Eron Schmeens, if you guys have really been following this group for a long time, then you would know him. He's back in the office now. He was giving me the lowdown about, a lot of the tech reviewers are saying the controls.
He works here again?
Oh yeah, Eron's here again. Yeah, officially. He's back.
Well,
tech reviews are back. Yeah, he's working officially with Vimeo. So
that's awesome.
And he's going to be doing NFT Alpha with Taco. So, but he was telling me that a lot of the tech people are saying the actual control when you actually get to experience and use it. All right, I'm about to see.
Oh, salute.
Salute. That was in real life.
Yeah. All right, that was real life. Yeah, that was not virtual life. He was saying, anyway, the controls, the experience of, because I guess you're using very subtle movements with your eyes and with your hands to interact with things. It says it's like magic.
No, supple.
Supple
Movements with
movements.
your hands.
Okay. Unlike other VR headsets that are required handheld remotes to operate, Vision Pro is completely controlled with your eyes, hands, and voice. The voice control is another thing that intrigues me on this. Even if the heads-up display takes a long time to get there, I think the direction we're going with voice assistance, that will see dramatic improvement over the next few years when it comes to commanding devices. And I think Apple will drive a lot of that, especially the better we get with a lot of these large language models. I think that'll play a part of it. So MacBook integration, you can bring your Mac wirelessly into your Vision Pro just by looking at it. This allows you to expand your display size to as big as you want with an incredible 4K display. So again, I'll be interested. Like you imagine, okay, we're using my MacBook. I'm editing on Premiere Pro. Boom, bring up the whole timeline. Maybe you're grabbing and dragging and dropping.
Iron Man.
You know, maybe that makes it more useful. Maybe it doesn't. They say, God bless you, teacher. Thank you, SAS Finance and ZIS. I don't know what I did, but
I thought, God, what was the comment? Crypto JMP is like, great, my 4K super smart TV is officially a horrible purchase. This comes at you fast.
Yep, it does. And that happens a lot with hardware. Does
anyone remember how popular 3D TVs were 3 years ago? And where are those now?
Yeah, I mean, the TV. So hardware, and this is why I hesitate on, especially when investing in anything hardware based, because you're always, it's a huge upfront cost. It's a huge delivery cost to get it out to the market, especially if you're talking, like if you're looking at like Comcast trying to get hundreds of thousands of boxes into homes. Like they got billions of dollars into the investment of creating those boxes and maintaining those boxes and swapping them out and getting them into the home. And a perfect example is TVs. And you pay big money for your flat screen TV, and then 2 years later it's like, oh, I paid $800 for a 50-inch TV. Now they're $300 or whatever, and like 3D TV or 4K. By the time the software catches up with the hardware, half of the time, say 4 new hardware products come out. By the time the software catches up, 2 of them are already dead, and it's like, okay, now you've got 4K stuck around for a while. But really, they're already doing 8K. But the problem comes with the cameras and the storage. And like, there's plenty of hardware that can do 8K at this point, but there's not any really 8K content, unless, so it's got to be both. And it's got to mix with market demand and marketing. And,
Is Bluetooth still a thing? Or not Bluetooth, Blu-ray. Blu-ray.
No way.
I remember that was a huge deal.
Well, it is. It's more than HD DVDs.
Yeah.
So that was the big debate when it was coming out. Like the Xbox.
I have over 1,000 Blu-ray DVDs, but I've ripped them all. I've got a 15 terabyte media server in my basement because I'm very
similar. I remember the big debate with PlayStation.
I want to own my own stuff, but I want to press a button.
They couldn't play the Blu-ray stuff.
No, PlayStation played Blu-ray, but Xbox 360 played like HD DVDs.
That was the war.
That was the
That was a new VHS Betamax.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just turned out, okay, Blu-ray was the one. And it for like 5 years until everything became digital download. You don't need any kind of disc anymore. It's all digital. And so again, the hardware just became obsolete.
I found that
pretty
out the hard way.
short-lived too.
It's very short-lived.
Well,
10,000 physical discs for my band.
It's pretty important to actually hold on, and I think this is probably something that would be amenable to this audience, the importance of physical media, because we see certain things now that in, I think, a historical contextual view are looked at as verboten from even just 5, 10, 15 years ago. How long till you can't get Blazing Saddles on something streaming? And if you don't own your own physical copy of it, where are you going to get it? And what else is going to be voted off the island next? What else is going to be wrong think?
That's a really, really good point that you made. We did a special on that on the BitBoy channel. Like the internet is rotting away. Very simple. Similar concept of basically records being stored digitally or anything being stored digitally, and then hey, you get some fire that in a data center, and then boom, it's gone forever. So exactly your point. Everybody started transitioning everything from analog to digital, and then got everything digital, and maybe had some storage or some problems storing it, and then all of a sudden like, wait a minute, maybe there's some value in having an analog. Now you got people moving things from digital back to analog to have hard copy files for exactly what you're talking about, because you never know what's going to be approved on a digital system or not.
I don't want someone ever to be able to tell me what I can or can't watch. And especially then for my family and for everyone else as well. That's what my daughter watches. We've got
put it on the blockchain. That's what we need once we have decentralized storage. I mean, it'll be there. There will be a media storage hub of content that can live forever immutably.
There's a lot of digital book burning during flu season. A lot
Tons.
of digital book burning.
Matthew Osland, where can I keep my OP and ARB tokens? You can keep them wherever you want, bud. It's up to you. They're your tokens. No, I'm just kidding. There's plenty of different
I
wallets.
thought you were gonna walk away from that.
Just not on exchange.
Yeah,
funny.
no, you can keep them on. I mean, there's exchanges. I mean, tons of exchanges have them. Like, if I'm being honest, I know a lot of people that have OP on.
I have OP on Trust Wallet.
On Bit. Yeah, you can have it on Trust Wallet. You can have it on exchanges. Arbitrum. Really, a lot of those should be easy to take. A lot of anywhere you hold Ethereum tokens. Really,
You hold it on Trust. too.
Descent is one that seems to hold, frankly, everything.
What's that?
The Descent wallet.
Decent.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that. Yeah, there's plenty of different wallets that you can use. I mean, so you said there you go. Trust. I would put it on Trust.
OP and ARB are able to be put on Trust, but
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if OP is on Exodus, but I'm pretty sure Arbitrum is. It's pretty straightforward. So, all right, that's pretty much all we had time for. I'll be keeping an eye on the Apple VR stuff as things go on. I do have some really good stuff on commercial real estate looking not so good, and then some picks, some deep altcoin gems, but I don't want them to steal them while I'm not going to be here. So I'll tease you guys on Monday. Maybe we'll cover this. Want to know what's next in crypto? Here's what A16Z is betting on for the next bull run, and we're going to cover a lot. Some of them you may have heard of. Most of them you guys would not have heard of any of these projects. So now I'm not saying go out and run and buy a bunch of altcoins right now. I'm still buying Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I know you guys like to hear about altcoins, so we'll talk about some of those for you guys. So, all right, that's all we have time for today. As always, we love all of you guys. Smash the likes on the way out. Shout out Ballin' on a Budget. Donate
These things are
Cabrera.
awesome,
What's
by the
that?
way. I was throwing in. The people commented on the XRP.
Oh, yeah.
These are awesome. They do hold up. DJ Flexa. They hold up very well at the gym. And unfortunately, I'm the guy that buys the T-shirt for the metal band and wears it to the concert.
There you
So
go.
I'm that sort of dork.
Hey,
That's
I
why
love seeing
I'm
people
like,
like
I'll represent.
We put effort into it. So cheers, Casino Doggy, Crimson Caravan Company, Austin Groxlogs, G Fairies, Justin Eubanks, Desert Crypto, Super Trucker Ryan, Paul Mark, A1, Bailey Miller, Crypto Poppy, RS Dusto, The King Taco, Fluffy the Sheep, Sincere, John Jones, SAS Finance, Manly, Stay Golden, and many, many more. We love all of you guys. Buy some Bitcoin, stack some. Crypto Stevo. We'll see you guys next.